What's going on, Reef Builders? I am Jake Adams coming back to you from the Reef Builders studio, and just want to kind of give you a preview of what we're going to be doing here with the Cade Aquarium. As we were trying to figure out what kind of video we wanted to shoot for this segment of the Cade Aquarium build, the Marco Rock that is available in Australia and very popular in the United States and Europe, I think, as well, just came in, like literally as we were talking about what to do. So this is where the Cade Aquarium is going to be. And it's going to be focused, very much focused on like lower light, lower energy LPS corals. This is kind of one of the dimmest parts of the studio. There's no kind of stray light coming in from the windows and stuff. So this is going to be the ideal placement for our kind of like just lower energy coral aquarium. I want to introduce some of the equipment that we're going to be using on this tank, and then I'm going to show you some of the corals that I've been holding on to for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years or more that is going to be populating this aquarium. All right, so in our previous video, which was wildly popular, we simply unboxed the Cade aquariums, and the Cade Aquarium, this is the 900 Pro Reef S2. This is the Reef version that is 90 centimeters, which is 3 feet, and it's the second version by Cade that has so much great stuff built right into it. It's gonna make it so easy to set up this aquarium. So I mentioned in that video that I've always wanted to do like kind of like native, authentic reef style aquariums. So this is going to be the Australian reef, and that's going to be reflected both in the tank, in the equipment, and especially in the corals that are going to put this tank together. So this is the Cade Aquarium. We have the built-in auto top off. We don't have the plumbing put together quite yet. As you know, the studio has some very wacky floor, so it took us a while to level everything. We get the built-in sump, and one thing I'm gonna mention every single time, something that I really love, is these built-in media baskets. When I discovered this on video, I was just so freaking excited. So I'm not super sure what I want to use for the return pump, because I'm not quite sure what the Australians use for return pumps. I know there's a couple options, but I want to get the one that's probably most popular in Australia. And over here we have, what do I call this? The suicide door. Yeah, the side suicide door, where you can see even more of the sump than you can from the front. So that's going to make accessibility extremely easy. On the other side, you have the power center. I don't even need a power strip. It's totally built right in. So some of the equipment that is going to represent the Australian reef scene and has started to make inroads in the United States. Of course, we have the Dalua Great White Protein Skimmer. I think this one hit the market about 2 years ago, but this is the brand new DC version. And since this is going to be a lower energy tank, I think we'll run that a little bit lower and put it on a timer to run maybe just a couple days a week, because we want this to have a little bit more nutrients for the corals that are going to go in this aquarium. So like I said, we're going to aquascape with Marco Rock, and we're going to light it up with the Illumagic Blaze. Normally you would probably use a light like this for only like a cube, like a 24-inch cube size tank. But since I just want low light stuff, talking bubble corals and scolies and lords, this is the only light we're gonna use for this entire freaking tank. And I think it's gonna be enough. You know, a lot of my tanks, I've been going around and turning down the power on so many different things. So I think this is gonna be a super fun tank, really kind of lower maintenance, lower energy. And we're gonna use the eCoral controller, probably a little bit more as a monitor. Just keep an eye on it. You know, I don't have any controllers here around the studio. I like to say that I am the controller, but the eCoral is an affordable entry-level controller monitor option. And man, I just really love this hexagon design. That's gonna look so freaking dope when it's in the power center. And it's just gonna help us kind of keep track of pH, water level, temperature, conductivity, and a couple other things. And then working with the eCoral controller is the eCoral doser. So this is kind of a, I think it's taped up. So this is just kind of a basic 4-channel doser, and because it's going to be a lower energy environment, we're probably going to be really maxing out the alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, but maybe a little bit more on like acro power and some different foods. And we're going to start it out with Dalua's own recipe of magnesium, calcium, buffer, and this, which is the one? Oh, this one right here, Coral Nutrition. So I think it's going to be one of the more important additives for this particular aquarium. We're going to keep this so freaking easy, but I want it to look like Candyland, which is like straight popping colors and lower light. It's some really awesome corals. So let's scoot over to the coral flat and show you some of the corals that I've been conditioning for all this time. So as you can see, this is not the first, but one of the original coral flats here at the Reef Builder Studio. Just totally chock full of healthy, happy, thriving corals. And I just want to show you the corals that are really going to dictate the environment of the Cade Pro Reef S2, the Australian reef tank build. Starting out with scolies. These are known as Homophilia australis, and right now we kind of have it in full broad daylight spectrum, so they're not as poppin' as you might see on Instagram. But yeah, really just kind of want to populate it, you know, with greens and war paints, reds. We got a little bit of yellow orange over here. Here we have a little bit of a Micromusa pacifica and some different colored versions of scholemias, and we're going to make that tank just really lower energy, higher nutrients. Maybe put a couple of acanthophilias on the bottom. So these are the LPS corals that are really, like I said, going to dictate the environment that we're aiming for that particular build. But to complement them right in front of Mr. Cameraman, I think bubble corals are going to be super cool. They just look their best in lower energy. This is a semi-branching bubble. This is a full-on classic green bubble coral. We've got a fox coral over here. This is the devil bubble. Of course, we'll find, you know, a couple euphyllias to stick in there as well. And what else do I have? Oh, here's my actual Acanthastria collection. These are various versions of Acanthastria echinata, subechinata, and rotundiflora. So these are going to be a little bit cool for that tank, but they're a little bit aggressive, so I probably will only put 1 or 2 in there just because I really like the super orange coloration. What else do I have in mind? There's a couple really nice chalices right here that I think will deserve a nice spot in some of the shadier spaces of that aquarium. And let's see, definitely the gold tip elegance coral. This is one that I got at Reef Stock Australia 2 years ago, and anytime I see a gold tip elegance, it just screams Australian coral every single time. I believe these are most common from the West Coast, and also lords. I think I'm going to concentrate most of my lords in that tank. I have 1 colony in here. This one's actually really orange with some nice green centers, and also Australophilia, better known as just Wilsonii corals. So here's a Wilsonii coral that I unbleached about a year ago. Just a really cool, beautiful rainbow specimen. Here's a green one right here that also bleached and kind of came back. This Micromusa pacifica is also from the West Coast. We got a couple other small Micromusas here that are help fill in the gaps. And I think that's about it for this aquarium. In some of my other tanks, I also have, I have a ton of gold torch coral, and I have some really cool strains of other lords that I've been collecting for years and years and years. So, like I said, this is going to be a real Candyland aquarium. I don't really foresee any soft corals going in there, but yeah, I think scolies, bubbles, Selectophilia, and absolutely the gold tip elegance coral, because like I said, that's just an Australian specialty. But one coral that's actually really piquing my interest more and more, as you might have noticed in the previous video, is the flower pot coral. So I don't know if I think we'll need a flower pot coral in there to add a little bit of motion to complement the gold tip elegance coral. So it might have taken about 2 years to kind of get all the pieces put together, all the ducks in a row, so we can really pay homage to Australian reefers and their unique style of setting up, building, and populating reef aquariums. This is going to be super fun because unlike the super high energy reef tank that's still in development over here, this is going to be the super low energy, just easy reef tank to set up, and with a lot of really interesting gear, like I said, that's much more familiar to Australian reefers. So in the next video, we are going to have everything pre-installed. We'll give a little rundown of what we're using, and then I think we'll do a little bit of a live aquascape for this tank. I'm kind of leaning towards actually a rock wall, which a long time ago was the opposite of what you would recommend anyone to do, but bubble corals and scholemias, they both really appreciate kind of being at a vertical position, and that's going to make it really awesome poster of different colors, textures, and movement with the flower pots, and especially that gold tip torch. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. The next installment should be this tank actually running and flowing and going and almost ready to populate with corals. I cannot wait to get all that eye candy that I just showed you into this aquarium where I can enjoy it a little bit more on a day-to-day. So if you have any questions about the direction of this build, go ahead and put those in the comments down below. Thank you for joining me on this video. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.